I do apologize for how close up the camera has to be. It is having trouble focusing, just like me. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're old here, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about part 141 flight training versus part 61 flight training. Let's go. Now, the first thing we are going to talk about is cost. In general, you will notice that schools that are 141 certified are a lot fancier. They just have a lot fancier things to show off to prospective students. They'll have a sim in the corner, and they'll have the best iPad cases that are premium leather, and they'll have, you get the picture, they just have more things to show off kind of, and it's also a way that they attract students. 141 is fancier, but it's also a lot more expensive, and 61 may be a little bit more casual, a little bit not as impressive, if you will, but generally the cost is a lot lower. I can't throw out random numbers, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna say 141 is generally 20 to 30% more expensive. That's roughly from what I've seen. Generally, there is a pretty big cost difference between the two types of training, and the reason for that is because of number 2, which is how fast you're going to complete your training. So timeline. Timeline is really important to pilots. You want to get your ratings and your licenses pretty quick. 141 typically will get you through pretty quick because they put you on a schedule and you fly a certain amount of times a day or a week or in a month. Part 61 training is kind of more, it fits around your life. So 141 kind of becomes your life and you go to the program, and it is like university where you were there and you're immersed in it and you're immersed in the world. But 61 training is kind of like if you work a full-time job, if you have a family at home, you kind of make training fit around you. So you pick your days and you talk to your CFI, your flying instructor, and you say, hey, let's train Friday evenings. So the learning style at 141 is a lot more rigid, 61 is a lot more loose. That means your timeline, you typically will finish faster with part 141 than you would with 61, but that also means that 141 is a lot more expensive. And that leads us into difference number 3. Difference number 3, listen, I am not an expert at all. I am a baby pilot. Just want to put that out there. But difference number 3 is pretty important to me, and I wanted to bring it up because it could be really important to you. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, you can't choose your CFI, your flying instructor, in a Part 141 program. Or if you want to swap flight instructors because y'all aren't getting along, they might kind of get annoyed. There's just, it's harder to do in a 141 program, where 61, you have a relationship with your instructor. Like, y'all are friends, y'all joke around together, you hang out, get to know each other, you maybe even hang out after flight lessons, and you actually become friends. 141 is kind of like, they're maybe there just to do their job and get their hours and go to the airlines, and you might not really be friends, and you might not even get along. And the thing is, that matters because if y'all don't get along, if you don't get along with your flying instructor, it will take a toll on your training. It's really hard to train and do something when the person that is supposed to be helping you a lot, you don't really get along with them, or maybe they don't understand your learning style and they don't care about your learning style because they want to get to the airlines. 61 is kind of like you walk in, you're like, hey Joe, what's up? And then you all go grab burgers together, go to Dairy Queen, and he's like, you want to fly? And you're like, yeah, I want to fly. And then you guys fly, and life is good. But it's not for everybody. You might not want that to be more casual. You might want something more rigid and more structured, and then 141 would be for you. Difference number 4 is a pretty big one. 141 typically can be accredited. You can get either a certificate, you can get associates, you can get your bachelor's in aviation. Part 61 is not accredited. Part 61 is what I am doing right now. That means I'm going to do all my flight training in hopes and prayers of getting a job flying, but none of it is accredited. So I can't go up to university and be like, yo, give me my bachelor's in aviation, give me my bachelor's in pilotage-ness. I can't do that with 61. So if you want your training to be accredited, or if you want to get some college recognition for it, 141 is going to be for you. And that leads into my 5th point. The last difference is a 2-part thing. So the first thing I want to talk about is 141 typically will require less hours for you to get your license and your ratings. For example, for your IFR, if I was part 141, I would be chilling and going straight into the hours for IFR specifically, but because I'm not in 141, I'm in 61, I have to build up these cross-country hours before I can actually train for it. That might not make sense, but all you need to know is that 141 will require less hours for you to get your licenses and your ratings. And you might think that's a good deal because you're going to save money, but 141 is more expensive, as we talked about. It's a lot more expensive, so it really doesn't end up saving you any money, but it might save you time. So again, it's kind of the time versus money thing. But the thing about 141 is they have stricter rules over their students and over the weather they can fly in. It don't even matter if you're IFR rated. They do not fly in certain weather. They're just very strict about that. So when I worked at the flight school, we kind of flew in whatever weather our CFIs felt comfortable going in and whatever the students wanted to go in with the no-go decision. But the 141 school across the way, there was a couple clouds in the sky, and they're like, no, stay home, we're good, we're gonna recline, we're gonna hang out, play around on ForeFlight, have some coffee. We're not going flying. I'm not bashing 141 in any way, it's just something that you should be aware of because it is important. And if you live somewhere where the weather isn't perfectly ideal, like Arizona or California, if you live somewhere like Oregon or like Washington, where things are rainy and windy and cloudy, 141 might have rules that are really strict and you might not be able to fly as much as you want to. And that is because the FAA doesn't want students dying, and it would not look good on the chief pilot to have people dying and all of this stuff happening. So they have more rules and regulations set over them to keep them safe, and it's just more strict. 141 is just a lot more strict. So that is the sixth and final difference. Now that we covered the 6 differences between the 2 types of training, I'm gonna go into about 3 reasons of what part is better for you, what type of learning style would suit you better. So the first reason is, what can you afford? Obviously 141 is more expensive. I was considering going part 141 after I passed my private pilot license, but pretty quickly I realized that I don't want to take out a loan. I can't really take out a loan, and I don't want to take out a loan again, and I can't really afford it because 141 has a lot more inflated cost. So that's great for people that can afford it, but if you can't afford 141 or don't really see yourself affording it without some drastic measure, just go part 61. But that goes into reason number 2. What are your end goals? What do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? Let's have a heart-to-heart chat. What do you want to fly? Why do you want to fly? Do you want to fly really big planes or smaller planes? And why do you want to fly? Do you want to fly for the airlines, for transportation? Do you want to fly to get rich? Do you want to fly so you can see the world? And you gotta see what you can afford, but you also gotta see what your end goal is. And the military is always an option. Taking out loans is always an option. Saving up a ton of money, working full-time for a year, 2 years is always an option too, but they are different paths. So just think about what you can afford and what your end goal is. And that leads right into the last reason number 3, to consider which type of training you should do. What is your learning style? How do you learn best? I assume you are a hands-on learner because a lot of pilots are a hands-on learner. It's very hands-on, pretty self-explanatory. Talking more about what learning environment do you thrive in? Do you thrive in a very structured environment where people are like,
you fly these days of the week no matter what?
Or do you like being able to pick your own schedule more? 61 is more fluid, it's more relaxed, although it doesn't have to be relaxed, it can be stricter. It's more casual. 141 is more like a university. It is a program that get you out there flying. The objective is to push you through the program and to get you to graduate and to get you into pipeline and flying somewhere quickly. Of course, that doesn't always happen. Really quick disclaimer, that is a generalization. There are some 141 schools that are very flexible and they're really great and they work with you a little bit more than others. And then some 61s are pretty rigid and they're pretty scheduled, and you can talk to your CFI like I did and you can tell them, hey, I really want my license by this time. Can you help me create a very structured routine and let's have a flying plan and stick to it? And that is what me and Steve, my CFI, personally did. So those are just 3 reasons to think about before you pick either type of training, but either way, it should get you to your license and it should get you in the sky and it should get you doing something fun, flying something cool. I wish you all the best. Y'all, if you are on the West Coast, if you are in Oregon, if you are in Portland, go tour with NV. They are the only plane tours around in the area. There's a lot of helicopter tours, but here's the thing. Planes are cheaper to fly. Maintenance and upkeep and fueling of a helicopter is a lot more expensive than a plane. That means NV tours start as low as $39 per person, and they fly slower so you can get more footage, you can film and take pictures, and you can take more people with you than you typically can in a helicopter. So NV Flies a 182 is a great little thing. I've been in it on a couple flights. I love it. You can bring 2 friends with you. So you, 2 friends, and then the pilot. of course, so 4 people, and I really recommend them. I am an ambassador for them too, and this video is sort of kind of sponsored, not really, but kind of, and I'm excited if y'all can't tell, and their stickers and their merch is dope. I'm gonna have their links down below, and there is also a code for 15% off down below as well, which is always down below in my description box, and I'm gonna leave their other links like their Instagram, their Facebook, and their website down below. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope y'all are having a really good summer. I'll see you in next week's video. Take care. Bye.